You're the truth, and you do it all so natural. You're so strong, and you show it anything. If you want it, it's yours.
Hey everybody.
It's yours. You can have it all, yeah.
Laura Mazur here.
This morning, and I know God smiled on me. Ain't no time to sleep, no, no. I can't wait to start my day.
Every episode will be something empowering.
Beautiful like me. Hey, you're so beautiful. You're the truth, and you do it all so natural. You're so strong, and you show it anything. If you want it, it's yours.
We'll be bringing you into the world of fashion, concerts, great expos.
You're so beautiful. You're the truth.
Great events happening here.
So natural. You're so strong.
Helping you find your confidence to be your best self.
It's yours. It's yours. You can have it all, yeah.
And today's show is very special because we are about to bring you inside the creative space and process of acclaimed Philadelphia fashion designer Conrad Booker. So come on. Hi, Conrad! Wonderful to see you.
It's wonderful to have you in our home.
It's sensational to be here, and we are so excited to give our viewers an exclusive inside view into your workspace. So I've been an admirer of your work for a very long time.
Thank you.
And so we talk a lot about fashion and style on our show.
Right.
But style isn't just what you wear.
That's right.
Style is also lifestyle. It's how you live and the choices that you make, and
Right,
how you
exactly.
dress your environment.
Right.
So we're here inside Conrad's beautiful home. So now, what tips would you give our viewers, especially those in the creative fields?
I would say to mix things up. If you're a little bit apprehensive about really stepping out, it can start with a belt. It could start with a pair of earrings, sunglasses, or a handbag or a bracelet.
And sometimes you can build your whole outfit around a statement accessory.
Right, exactly.
Well, of course, style is also how we eat, we cook, we live. So let's take a look at Conrad's kitchen.
Like one of those weird anti-spaces that the chair, in fact, works really nicely there. So we'll sit and read recipes and chat while the other one's cooking or cleaning, and so.
And it's interesting that you basically have like an open air kitchen.
Yes. I mean, ideally we would love to have cabinets on this side, but in time. But you just do the best you can with what you have. So I mean, it just shows that we like to cook, and we like cookbooks, and we like flowers and vases and stuff like that. So this becomes kind of a catch-all for everything. So
now another thing, okay, when you're in a relationship and you're living together, you have to combine styles.
Yes.
Right? And you and Adam have done it beautifully. So talk to our viewers about that, like when you're trying to combine styles to have a cohesive story, right, in a living space.
Right.
Like what that looks like, and tips that you would give of blending styles.
I think when we both came together, when we came together, we had two different styles. I was very contemporary, very modern, and Adam was contemporary with some traditional elements, and we just merged them. And I think one of the things that happened, I realized that it strengthened the contemporary and the modern aspect that's very much me, and it also strengthened Adam's style. So it kind of worked its way into being the style that we have now. That's very, it's a combination of a lot of different things, and very freeing
and it's seamless.
Right, right. But it has all of it has a underlining art is the underlining message.
Yes, yes, for sure. You can definitely tell that artists live here.
Yeah. Which is very much what happens in my fashion. It always has a element of art.
Yes.
So, wearable works of art.
Yes. So now you also create window installations.
Yes.
And Conrad, I think the last two seasons, Christmas, you created the windows, some of the windows for Macy's in Philadelphia. So it's just so exciting. So now talk to us a little bit about what your creative process is like when you create window installations.
Like the Christmas window for Macy's, what I wanted to do is do a twist on the nativity scene. So instead of doing a traditional nativity scene, I did what I coined as an urban nativity.
Okay.
So there were references to the nativity, but in a different way. Like I used a shipping container for the manger, for the stable, and then Mary was dressed in a clear plexiglass top to symbolize this cloud that she was in. Joseph was on the pillow, but he was Andy Warhol. And the three wise men were sitting in front of the fireplace. So it was all these different references, but it was reinterpreted.
Now, when you create a piece of art such as one of your amazing windows, how long does it normally take you from the point of conception to execution?
It all depends on how I can, if I come up with a concept really early, it moves pretty quickly, but if there's a bit of a struggle, it will take some time. So it all depends on the concept. I'm really a big concept person, and once I get a concept, I'm like ready to fly. Yeah. So
really, planning is a big key ingredient.
Right. Because that concept, once you have that concept, you're able to then select materials, what you're going to do. You can weed out all the noise, and be able to focus in on certain inspirations that you're looking for.
And a part of being a successful artist is discipline. Right? And of course, I know, it's so funny when we talk to creatives about that. As of course, the inspiration comes in, and I'm like this too in my medium.
Right.
The inspirations and the ideas come in waves.
Right.
But if you're going to be successful, and it's not just going to be a hobby, it's going to be a career.
Right.
You have to be disciplined. You're the one who has to get yourself up in the morning and say, got to go to the fabric store, got to sketch today, got to get it done.
Right.
So what advice would you give, and what are some things that you do to keep yourself, especially when you're in your creative time, like prepping for Fashion Week or a specific project, staying disciplined, getting yourself on a schedule to execute things in a proper timeline?
I try and really just constantly always be looking, because if you're always looking, then you can solve a lot of the issues that you are trying to come up with in terms of finding solutions for. So that helps, and two, to understand what you still have left to do. So I pin up everything, and I constantly say to myself, keep working the board, keep working the board, keep working the board. What do you have to do? You have this to do. Do you have this?
It's a checklist.
It's a checklist. And the fact that I have all my sketches, and you'll see them later, up, it gives me, it makes me think about it all the time. So it puts it all in perspective. Right.
Is important.
Right. Yeah.
So we are standing in front of one of your original artworks. This is your painting.
Yes.
Yes. So talk to us a bit about your inspiration and your process.
Well, I used to live in a really large loft on Callowhill Street, and that's where I really learned about size and proportion and making things really big. And of course I started out drawing and painting Marilyn Monroe by Andy Warhol, but wanted to do a different twist on it and leave some pieces unfinished, which is kind of typical of me as an artist, that some things are unfinished, but I think it's good when they're like not finished.
Yes.
So.
Well, Conrad, your art is also known for taking the common and transforming it into something beautiful.
Yes.
Which I love. So this next piece over here perfectly exhibits that.
Yes.
And so this is a piece of butterflies.
Yes.
All made out of cans.
Soda cans and beer cans. It's kind of reminiscent of a citywide show that I did that took soda cans and created butterflies and went around the city with them. It plays off the concept of taking actual butterflies and putting them in shadow boxes. So I didn't like the fact of using real butterflies, so I created that same kind of concept with soda cans.
Amazing. Now, Conrad, I am not surprised at all that even your backyard is chic and fabulous. I feel like I'm in a little mini oasis here in Philadelphia.
Which is so unusual.
Yes. So you really have maximized this space so effectively. So what's your process and your tips? You know, if you have a small yard like this, often in the city spaces.
Right.
Talk to us a bit about, even with gardening here, your process and tips of creating an elegant but space-conscious outdoor living space.
Well, I cannot take credit for
At
all
all.
of this.
Okay.
No, this is all my partner Adam. He loves to do the gardening and stuff. We kind of worked hand in hand in laying everything out, but he does most of it.
Well, he is very
I'm downstairs
talented.
like working. But he does all of it.
Well, speaking of your workroom, we're so excited. So now we're going to go downstairs. We're going to get an exclusive tour of Conrad Booker's creative design space. So come with me. Let's go downstairs and see where all the magic happens.
Yes.
So we are thrilled to be inside the creative workspace of genius designer Conrad Booker. So let's give you a tour. Hi, Conrad. Hello.
How are you?
Fabulous. What an honor it is to be in your space.
Yes, it's a little messy,
Yes.
so you have to
But
bear with me.
This
I'm
is
in the
where
middle
the
of
magic happens.
collection. You know,
Yes. So, one of the things that you're known for as a designer is your elaborate and very creative headpieces.
Yes.
I mean, Conrad, his last collection in Philly Fashion Week, he took all these Coke bottles, spray painted them gold.
Yes.
Yeah, you did a headdress out of Coke
Yes.
bottle caps, straws,
Skewers.
skewers.
Yes.
It's just amazing how Conrad will see something mundane as a piece of wire and create something spectacular. So I see here your vision board for your headdresses here.
Yes, this is a few materials for the upcoming collection. It is called Le Grand Carnaval.
Okay.
And it combines the first two collections as well as the third together, and it's going to have a carnival circus theme. So,
Wow. So we have frog, feathers, sequins.
a lot of color.
Okay.
There'll be like a clown mask, but it's all going to have a urban aesthetic to it.
A
So-
harder edge, a little bit.
You're gonna just feel like it's very urban.
Okay.
So it won't be that hard, but it'll have that little edge to it.
Now, of course, followers of Conrad will recognize this sketch
Yes.
and
yes.
this piece, which has been featured in many museums and Philadelphia Fashion Week. This is a ball gown skirt that's created all out of black straws.
Right. And the skewer headpiece, and this went to the BET Awards a couple of years ago, and was on display. And this year, and in this collection, it's going to be shown the way it was originally designed. It's never been shown in that
Wow.
way. So you will get a chance to see it with its 18-foot train and the skirt and the headpiece all together. So
That's so exciting.
it's exciting.
So now, what is your process? I often wondered when I'm sitting in the audience watching your shows. So when you create these multi-layered skirts out of materials like straws or bottle caps, what's the construction of that look like?
Well, I think about the wearability and how it's going to hold up. So the structure is really important to me, and that just gets back to my architectural background, you know, where structure is very important. So before I really dive into a work, I will make sure that there's structure there for me to apply something to. So this is in fact soda cans that I flattened, but then just to test it, I went over to the sewing machine to see if I could sew it.
Wow.
And in fact, it did sew. And
It's amazing.
then I was able to sew cans together and create fabric with cans and then form it around the body. So
That's sensational. So now we're here right in the middle of Conrad's work table, and right over here we're gonna take you to one of the most exciting spots.
this is the new piece.
Oh my God.
This is made out of like maybe 20 years of trims and all kinds of ribbons that I've collected from making pillows over the last couple of years. And this will go with, I forget what kind of skirt. I think it's a blow-up skirt. So these are some boots that will
Oh my gosh, these are boots?
be going down the runway, and then there's a skirt that will look exactly the same, that will look like shopping bags. This is the headdress that will be worn for the look that is half woman, half animal.
Wow.
And the idea is that the hair kind of overlaps and overlaps her face, and you can just barely see her face.
Wow.
But then this bottom portion will also, her dress will be made out of this really beautiful iridescent blue hair as well. This is we have a stilt walker that will be coming out, and the girl will be wearing this, and it's a wood suit, and it's made out of wood laminate. And the whole idea is that the stilt walker will be bringing a marionette into the opening of the show.
Wow.
And she has a wood hat and a wood skirt, and so it's exciting.
Our viewers who have attended Philly Fashion Week will remember that you had the amazing garden, a statue garden, in the square of City Hall. What's your process when you're doing an outdoor piece?
Yes, I was asked to do a installation this year, so that's going to be very intriguing in terms of what I do.
Yes. So you're doing
tuned.
a 32-piece collection.
Yeah.
And you're doing an art installation.
It's going to be fun.
You always push the boundaries of the possible.
Yes.
Which I love about you, and you have an imagination and creative spirit that is not matched. Oh, what are, over the long term, what are now some of your goals for the Conrad Booker brand, and what can we expect?
If anybody knows Gaga,
Oh,
give her my name.
yes.
Or Beyonce.
Say,
But to continue doing what I'm doing, and my hope is to one day dress Gaga.
what advice would you give to aspiring creatives not to give up and to stick to your creative integrity?
Be passionate about what you're doing, because if you're not passionate, it's not going to carry you through on nights that you need to stay up and do work. And then also, my big recommendation is, if you can take what you're creating and hold it up to the universe, and you see anything remotely like what you're creating, then I would say don't do it, and start again, and come up with a philosophy and thought that is different. Like Anna Wintour says, make it recognizable but different. That's what you really need to do, is make it different, and don't be afraid to use things that people aren't accustomed to seeing. And if you don't have a lot of money, don't let that not be a reason for creating. Let that be the reason for creating, and finding the materials that are out there that no one's looking at. We all can't afford, $50 yard fabric, or maybe even, $5 yard fabric, but there are things out there that you can use, and you can create things from. That's how I create the things that I do, because, funds aren't always readily available. So you use what you have. This is the collection for Philly Fashion Week. The show is called Le Grand Carnaval, and it's going to have a circus theme, and we're going to have stilt walkers and aerialists and ringmaster and all kinds of stuff. So
wow.
So I situated the show to open with the ringmaster to stilt walker, and then go into what I kind of perceive as the guests that are attending the circus. And then as we get to the lower section, it's more the performers, the animals, all kinds of different things.
Conrad has created a patented design. So let's talk about the curve of your bag and why you chose that, the special things about your design aesthetic.
Well, one of the things that I originally was sitting at the sewing machine sewing, and it just kind of popped into my head, oh, if I made a handbag, what would it look like? Then I just jumped up and started cutting out paper and made a sample. And then when I got in the incubator, I focused mainly on handbags and pursued more of refining the look and the shape of it. But the whole concept behind it is, I noticed that out in public, I would see women carrying their clutch,
under the arm,
right, the envelope
struggling.
clutch, and struggling, and they had the cell phone and all of this stuff, and I wanted to make it so that they could place a handbag under their arm, hold a glass of wine, and shake someone's hand.
I know also one of the key design aesthetics of your bags is proportion.
Right.
So you also design very large clutches, like here, and this bag here. Talk to our viewers your design principles of why you chose to design your clutches proportionately larger.
I noticed that the industry really subscribed to a clutch that's very small, and like many women come in various sizes.
Yes.
But the clutch remained the same. So I wanted to express that, as well as cater to those women who have that diva quality in them, that they want to really make a statement coming into a room. So if you don't want attention, my
don't wear a
handbags,
Conrad Booker bag.
No.
Each of his bags, he has his label sewn right inside, and oftentimes the inside is leather or some other fine fabric, and he'll incorporate a little mirror. He often uses fabrics like calf hair or suede, and we'll mix it with another type of leather or croc or something like that. So you really see, when you have a Conrad Booker bag, not only do you have something that's one of a kind, but it's really a high level of workmanship and craftsmanship.
So much of what I try and incorporate into my work is elevating those materials that are not common in the world of fashion.
You're so beautiful, you're the truth, and you do it all so natural. You're so strong, and you show it anything. If you want it, it's yours, it's yours. You can have it all, yeah. Up early this morning, and I know God smiled on me. Ain't no time to sleep, no, no. Can't wait to start my